The pandemic continues to have consequences which none of us could have foreseen and of which most of us are unaware. It's one of these that I would like to reflect on. The Tent of Nations is the name that the Nasser family have given to their hilltop farm a few miles south of Bethlehem. The Nassers are Palestinian Christians, and they have owned and farmed their land for more than 100 years. There are 100 acres of olive trees and apricot trees and almond trees. There are vines, there are sheep, there are chickens, and any number of dogs. But as well as being a working farm, the Nasser's hilltop is also a place of encounter, learning, and growth. Every year, school children from Bethlehem are hosted for a summer camp. And throughout the year, the family are joined by international volunteers who come and live on the hilltop, sleeping in the caves that are one of its features and working the land. Our son was one such volunteer and spent a month on the farm 3 years ago. It sounds idyllic, but it's not. The West Bank, where the Tent of Nations is located, is a place of division and conflict. The Nasser's hilltop is ringed by other hilltops, and in recent years, Israeli settlements have been established on each of these. Daoud and Daha Nasser, the two brothers who run the farm today, have been compelled to prove their ownership of their land in a series of court cases stretching over a number of years. This has been very time-consuming, very costly, and it continues. But last month, on the 3rd of September, 2 members of the Nasser family were harvesting grapes when they were confronted by 20 to 30 young people carrying sticks. They appear to have come from the settlements. They had torn down the fence around the vineyard, and they made threats against the cave which serves it. That night, intruders entered the farm and ransacked the vineyard cave, attacking its contents, breaking its solar panels, and stealing its generator and security camera. It will cost thousands of dollars to put right what has been wrecked. I'm sure that the absence of international volunteers, an absence caused by the pandemic, has left people like the Nassers vulnerable to attack. And theirs is just one case. How many more have taken place under the cover of the long shadow cast by COVID? How many more hidden victims are there? If you visit the Tent of Nations, you may be invited to pray in the cave that the family keep as a chapel. On the floor is painted a dramatic image of Jesus holding an automatic weapon, but it's broken in two. For, as we read in the story of his arrest and trial and crucifixion, Jesus refuses to meet violence with more violence. The Nassers set this example before them always. Painted on a stone as you enter the tent of nations is the simple phrase, "We refuse to be enemies." We refuse to be enemies. I'm sure that stoically and steadily the family will even now be clearing up the mess, repairing the damage, and continuing to cultivate the hilltop that is their inheritance and their family home. If you ask Dode why he welcomes visitors to his farm, he will say, "We want you to come and see, and we want you to go and tell." That's what I'm trying to do. Please pray for justice and peace for all the people of the West Bank, and for health and for security for all the hidden victims of the pandemic. Please, if you can, join me in a prayer. God of justice, bless all who work for peace through justice, all whose workload has been made heavier by the pandemic. Strengthen their resolve in the face of seemingly endless setbacks, obfuscation, and violence. Guide our leaders to know your will and to support a just peace for all your children in every place. God of love, breathe compassion into our prayers. Fill us with a desire for nothing other than peace. Peace in our hearts, peace for all creation, and peace in the land of the Holy One. Amen. Bless you. Enjoy the weekend that is beginning.